Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Armed and Anointed podcast. It's Ash Russell, your host, and I've labeled this episode Get Sound in Your Intention and Get Comfortable in Success. And I really wanted to talk about knowing our own intention and being really confident in it because what I'm hearing so much of, and it just kept coming to me and kept coming to me. And I was like, all right, confirmation received. I will do a podcast episode on this because it was also a journey that I just moved through soundly myself, is sitting in my intention and just being confident in myself and watching how quickly your anxiety, your worries, your made up stories disappear when you do this. And so let's get into it. What does intention have to do with success? And if you're listening to this podcast, you are probably looking to be a leader. You're leading yourself in your life. You want to lead in business. You're an entrepreneur. You want to lead your growth journey. And to be a leader, you really have to know your intention because you can't be running around explaining yourself to people all day. You can't operate in people pleasing tendencies. And when you step into leadership, you need a new mind because your old mind, your old ways of thinking and acting, that's not going to cut it for you in this next chapter. So you need new ways of thinking. You need new ways of dealing with boundaries, of leading, of showing up. And you have to know your intention around this. And I was actually talking to my daughter the other day, and I had these brand new pans, these cast iron pans. And I was like, don't put these in the dishwasher, like they'll rust. And the night before, she doesn't start the dishwasher. And so in the morning, I was like, hey, can you please start the dishwasher? And the pans are in there, so please take them out. And then my husband messages me later that day and he goes, Ash, you're going to be mad, girl. You're going to be so mad. I was like, what? Like all the pans are in the dishwasher and they are ruined. And I was like, okay, that makes me really freaking mad. And so I messaged her and I was like, there's a consequence for this because I talked to you about this and there was a bit of like victim mentality that came through. And I was like, hey, I understand that this wasn't on purpose. I know that you weren't vindictively trying to ruin my pans, hopefully. Um, but I was like, there's a level of intention that you need to move through your day with. It's a level of respect to both me and yourself. And this was a lack of intention. And I was like, that frustrates me because every second of my day requires intention. Every second of it. Like I move so intentionally through everything. And so I was like, I don't care that this was an accident. The fact is that you were careless in it. You moved through it with no intention and there is a consequence. Because next time you're going to think, oh man, I had better have intention around this so that mom doesn't take my phone away for a day for each piece of kitchen equipment that I just ruined. So, like, bye 3 days. Okay. But when we don't have intention, our life is chaotic, both like intention in how we're moving and knowing our own intention in our movements without voicing them. So, I want to talk about being present first, because this is something that women, especially, and it's come up so often where we're not present in our life. We're always worrying about that next thing. Oh, what's happening tomorrow? And both in our lives as leaders in our business, we have to be present. We can't always have our mind somewhere else, one foot in, one foot out. And when we're not present, we're constantly leaking our energy towards a different situation, whether it's the past or the present or the future, sorry. But our energy is always going. And then we're like, why do I always feel so overwhelmed? Why do I feel so exhausted? And it's like, because you actually aren't 2 feet in your life. You got power leaks, you got energy leaks everywhere, worrying about this thing tomorrow or next week or this goal that you created. And we have to be really conscious of reaping what we sow because when we're not present in it, we're not going to be able to reap the harvest that we want. So for example, like when we're planning goals, I see this so much with entrepreneurs where you're so worried about the outcome, especially in sales businesses, where it's like you have this big sales goal and you're like, oh, but we're not pacing it. Oh, I have to worry about this. Oh my gosh, we're not where we are. And instead of being 2 feet in your goal, you are worried about an outcome that's going to come regardless. Right? Like all you can do is work presently inside of it. But instead of doing that, you're spiraling and you're having like stress build up and anxiety and like you're stressing everybody else out and you look frantic on social media. And it's like if you were just present in this goal, you would be you would be sowing your seeds, your goal with presence, and you would reap success of that goal because you can plan your whole field out, right? You can look and be like, I'm going to make the plan. Being present doesn't mean that you're not setting goals. It doesn't mean that you're not planning for the future. You can plan the field, but you need to be present when you're sowing the seeds. You need to be intentional about how you're lining those fields, about how you're moving through it so that the whole plan can come together. You're not sitting there like planting seed by seed going, oh my gosh, what if the field floods? What if the rains of God come down and flood this field and we have a Noah's Ark situation happening? You're not thinking that, right? Like you're just like, oh, I'm going to plant this line and then I'm going to plant the next line and then I'm going to plant the next line. And each day I'm going to come and I'm going to sow my seeds. I'm going to do my planting until the whole field is done and it creates the total plan. We're not moving through our goals like that. We're not leading ourselves through our life like that. We are so worried all of the time. Our mind is elsewhere. And then we wonder why we have no capacity. And it's because we're not moving with intention throughout our day. We're not being present in it. And I am like a high functioning entrepreneur. I have 4 children. I'm a wife and I run a business coaching container and I'm also planning live events. Like I have a lot going on all the time, but I am so proud of the way that I am present in my life. I look at my schedule for the next day, the day before, like the night before, because I know my routine, I know what I'm doing, but I'm also not going to spiral out about what I need to do tomorrow and next week. I'm planning a live event for the end of November, about a month away. I am not spiraling out about the event. I'm like, what do I need to do today to build this event? What needs to get done today? Okay, great. Signs need to get done today. I'm gonna message my brother. I'm gonna squeeze a little family discount. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna pay him full price because we support our family. But like that's how you're supposed to move through your goals is okay, great. I planned the goal. I planned this. Now I'm going to sow my seeds with intention and with presence every single day so that I can reap the harvest of success of that goal. And I want you to take a minute on the other side of this because I know that there are countless entrepreneurs listening to this and just really realize how like how stressed out and how not present you have been in your business goals and in your life and as a leader. And now I'm going to talk about something that is it's uncomfortable for sure. It's personal intention and allowing others to be on their own growth journey and to sit in discomfort. So I've gone through this thing recently where this actually led to my ability to be present in my day, like I was just talking about. It led me to be present in my business. And it was learning to just sit comfortably in my own intention and not having to explain myself to people. And being willing to have the conversation if people came and asked questions about it, but not fearing it. Like, hey, yeah, come on, let's have the conversation. But I am no longer going to overextend myself because I know that my intention is good. And what started to happen was I triggered the crap out of myself first. Because when you're learning to sit comfortably in your own intention, you're first facing your own wounds, right? It's like I was leaving group chats because I needed presence in my life. I needed to dial in. I needed to start hearing my own voice again. But to do that, I had to kind of shake my routine up. I had to leave group chats. Okay, now picture this like you're in the top of your business. You're in this like top leader group chat. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I need to hear my own voice and I can't do it with all of this happening around me. I need to lead this. And I heard this voice telling me, like, you need to leave it. You need to leave it. You need to leave it. And I was like, no, I can't do that. What are they going to say? I can't do that. They're going to think that I'm mad at them. They're going to think that I'm like quitting in secret. Like they're going to think this, that, and the other. And finally, I was like, no, I just need to do this. And so I did. And what happened was I felt this overwhelming feeling of peace because I knew that my intention was not bad. My intention was I needed to serve myself in this way. I needed to dial in my life. And there was absolutely no harm, no foul towards other people. But then I realized that I was doing something completely unfair. I was assuming what they would do. And that's a made up story around, oh, if I do this, then they're going to think this. No, Ashley, no. You don't get to make those stories up. You have to sit in your discomfort. Like, if you're like, oh my gosh, well, what if they talk about me? Okay, girlfriend, then what if? Then what if they do? Then what? You gonna stay forever so they don't talk about you or they talk in a side chat? if you're so scared about people talking about you, they're probably talking about you. And like, did it affect you? That's your wound to heal. That's yours to deal with. That is not anybody else's. So as I was doing this and as I was pulling into my own intention, I was confronted by all of these triggers that I had. And I realized how unfair some of them were and how much nonsense BS anxiety that they were causing me. I'm like spinning out over situations that are not even happening. I'm making them up. It's so freaking ridiculous when I think about it. I'm like, well, what if they do this? Well, what if they do that? And it's like, what are you worrying about? You're like creating made up situations to worry about because what if? Sit in your intention that you mean no harm, that you're doing this for yourself. And if anybody asks you about it, you're happy to have the conversation. Let's seek to understand. But girl, you can't be afraid to move through your life pleasing everybody else or like not making moves because of what if situations. That's freaking crazy. When you know your intention, that does not exist. So that was that was really hard for me. I was uncomfortable because it wasn't just leaving group chats. It was leaving a business. It was unfollowing people. It was creating a new account. I was like, I was being called to make all of these moves and I was scared to make them because of what ifs. And I just had to sit there and be like, the business one, I think was the hardest one for me because honestly, I had never seen a top leader leave a network marketing business in a good way. I had never seen that happen. It's always like a ball of flames, right? Like, oh, this happened and there was non-compliance and she said this and it was this drama and that drama. And I wasn't leaving for that reason. I was leaving a business that I loved. And I realized how much harder it is to leave something that you love than something where there is a problem. But I was leaving a business that I loved. And I was like, okay, but what if they think I was non-compliant when I was coaching? And what if they think I'm doing it because my business is failing? Or what if they and I'm like, Ashley, you got to give your head a shake, girl. You got to give your head a shake. What is your intention and know it. Sit so soundly in it. Like you know your business is good. You know that you are leaving something you love because you are being called up out of it. You know that's the right reason. You're not leaving for something bad. And if people want to assume that it is because of something bad, that is not your business because you know your truth. And truth does not fear questions. Truth does not fear curiosity. So when people ask and they're like, okay, well, what was this? I'm like, let me tell you about it. But what I won't be doing is running around and justifying myself to everybody. And I think that we need more of that in this world. This thing where it's like you don't owe anybody, like everybody, this explanation. And I hope if you needed that permission, you are getting it right now. You can make moves soundly knowing your intention without running around over explaining yourself, making sure nobody else's feelings are hurt, and essentially trying to control everything because that's what it is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And I had to pull back in and be like, I'm making big moves and I'm making them publicly. And there's a lot of people that watch, especially coming out of network marketing. It's like we put our lives out there really loudly and people have questions and that's okay. And I don't owe them, everything, every step of the way as I'm doing it. And I want you to take permission from that because if you are doing things from a place where like your heart posture is sound, you have good intention around it, make those moves. Not everybody needs to understand it. We live in this world of like everybody has to understand what's going on to like be on your side. And what if they don't support? And for me, there was a lack of support and it was so freaking triggering. It was so triggering because I got up in my feels and I was like, I feel like I've earned support. I feel like I've earned trust. I feel like I've earned it. And at the end of the day, having to just like know my intention and release it and be like, okay, well, you're not really getting it. So now what? So are you going to move differently? Are you going to over explain yourself? Are you going to justify yourself? Are you going to go backwards? Or are you just going to sit soundly in your intention, in your heart posture, and keep making the moves that you need to? And along the way, as I did, I was healing these parts of myself so hard. And it was like trigger. And then I would move through it and it would heal. Another trigger. And I would ground myself and still continue to take steps and it would heal until now when I don't even feel the nudge at all to overextend myself or to people please or to fix other people's wounds because I realize I'm like, when I do that and when we all do this, we're actually robbing others of their growth journey. We're robbing others of the journey that they need to go through to heal their own wounds. Like, oh, Ashley, you didn't tell me this. Like, what's up? Right? Like, are you avoiding me? Why didn't you want to tell me? And it's like, why are we not assuming good intention? And I want to pause here and I want to call all of us on this podcast out right now and say, why are we moving through life not assuming good intention? When I settled into knowing my intention and like bringing myself back to be like, no, you made that move with love. And you made that move with love. And you did this for this reason. And it was just for to find some peace. And you don't owe everybody that explanation. What happened was I stopped creating stories for other people and I stopped creating like wound stories that made myself a victim because this is what happens when we assume things. We make ourselves victims of it. Well, why are you ignoring me? Well, why did you do that? That was hurt. No, you're not a victim of this, but you have some wounds, some triggers that are coming up because of the way that I'm moving. And it's honestly like when we look at it, it comes back to everything is about us. Everything is about us. Well, they must have said that because of me. Oh my gosh, I wonder if they were hinting at me about, and we're like creating these stories nonstop. But when you start moving through the world, assuming good intent of other people, those stories don't exist anymore. They're just gone because you're like, I know my intention. I'm sitting in this. I know this came from a good place. And they get the same benefit of the doubt. They get the same assumed good intent. If somebody unfollows me, I'm like, okay, yeah, they probably needed, first of all, I don't notice this, but like I have had people be like, you unfollowed me. And I'm like, how did you freaking notice that? That's wild. But I'm like, I had to do that out of love because first of all, I'm neurodivergent and like I will scroll socials as a massive distraction for myself. So I literally had to put myself in like this like timeout box where I just unfollowed people out of love because first of all, if we're in the same company, bless, I love you. I'll see you in life. We'll always connect. We'll always talk. We'll be friends. I don't necessarily need to follow you on socials. And you have to you have to be okay with that knowing that like you did that out of love. So if you notice that somebody unfollows you, why are you spiraling that it's about you? Why can't you assume good intent that that was something that they needed to do for themselves, maybe for their attention span like me, maybe to dial in presence, maybe to cut down like the distraction of the phone, or maybe just to be less overwhelmed in life. But we create these stories because our wounds are like, oh, that was probably about you. I bet she hates you. I bet she's got a freaking banana cream pie in her trunk just waiting to see you next time. She's going to throw it in your freaking face. Like we create these chaotic stories about why it's happening, and we have to stop because it is egotistical. It's like our ego wants the justification, and we like not everybody owes us an explanation. We're not owed that from everybody, but this day of like social media where like everybody's access to everything has just kind of put us in this state where we feel like we are. If somebody unfollows us, immediately we're like, justify that to me. No, I don't need to justify that to you. I could have a conversation and be like, hey, I'm doing this or whatever it is, but like you shouldn't be seeking answers with assumed bad intent. If you want to have a conversation about it, 100% let's do it because when you know your own intent, you know your heart posture around it, you're going to be really open to it. Be like, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about that. This is what it was for me. That's great. But I get really frustrated now when I'm like, why are you assuming bad intent about me, about this situation? Why are you assuming that I didn't like you and that's why I unfollowed you? Have I ever given you a reason to think that? And the answer is always no, but it's like because social media following somebody is like this badge of friendship. And it's like, if my, robot doesn't follow your robot, then we must not be real life friends. That's freaking crazy. Social media is making us insane. I could do a whole freaking podcast episode on this, but I won't. And what happens is we start to like, it creates division in our relationships But when we are sitting in our own intention and we have moved through the wounds that that has brought up and we'd had to heal those parts ourselves, I no longer want to justify it or over explain myself when someone needs to work through their own wound. And what I mean by that is when somebody comes to you and they like are assuming bad intent, or they're like, well, this happened and then this happened. And I'm like, you've created a full story that doesn't exist. This was my intention. I'm always happy to explain it. But don't come at the situation with bad intent. You're doing that because you have a trigger coming up. You have a place that's not healed coming up. And it's not my job to heal that place. It's your job to go and get curious with it and go, man, why do I feel like that? Because when I had to do this, it was very uncomfortable. But we are so used to this life of ease, this like immediate gratification where I could just ask them and they'd have to explain themselves to me. No, no. Ask yourself, why am I assuming bad intent? Why is that making me uncomfortable? Where is that coming from? Where do I need to shine some light in myself? And you'll start to see as you heal these parts of yourselves that you start to see good intent, like you assume good intent of people, and your life just feels so much better because you're not riddled with anxiety and what if stories about people. You're literally just like, they're not really thinking about me because it's not about you. Like they're just moving through their life trying to do what's best for themselves, like we all are. But we're like giving, like, literally, it's like death by a thousand cuts. It's like death by a thousand cuts. It's like, oh, I noticed this. And then I create this story. And then that creates anxiety. And then I'm worried about this. And then I'm talking about it with other people. And now I'm gossiping. And it's this whole thing where it's like, let's heal. Let's heal this. We don't need to keep operating like this. Whew, so many places in our life where intention is okay. Sip of water. So we talked about moving with intention. We talked about knowing our own intention, healing those wounds, healing those parts of ourselves that come up when we do it. And you guys, people pleasing is rampant, rampant, and we all do it. Knowing your intention is going to heal it. It's going to take it away. You're no longer going to feel the need to people please for people, right? And people pleasing at the core of it is manipulation. And that's also not a comfortable thing, but it's a conversation for a different day. People pleasing is manipulation to like get them to like you, to like get them to feel good, to like take the tension out of the relationship instead of just sitting in your own intention and being like, this is what it is for me. Sounds like, you know, you need to work through that. And we got to stop people pleasing because it's just draining us dry, especially with freaking social media, man. Social media is just wild. So let's go into moving with intention in your business and as a leader. So, my main mission right now for life is moving with the intention to serve in our business. Because when we serve in our business, we get to move and flow in it. We get to build something organic, and you can work in force. 100% you can work in force. You can force your business in front of people, but you're never going to be a force in business if you work in it. You're never going to have it flow effortlessly, and you're never going to be this force of nature in your business if you constantly operate in force, because you can't build that and let it be. Force needs force to keep it going. You're always going to have to force your clients to buy. You're always going to have to force people to join your team. You're always going to have to like force hiring out. You're always going to have to force your content out. You're always going to have to push people into your offer. There's always going to have to be, it will drown you. But when you are moving through your business with the intent to serve, it will get you out of bed. Your messaging will be so clear. There will never be a day where you don't want to get out of bed for the person that you're serving because you know that you're here to help them. There will never be a day where you don't know what to say to them because you know the problem. You've been there. That's why you're here to serve them. And you can serve while you're also in need. And this is something that comes up a lot. And they're like, well, Ash, like, I need the money. Yeah, money's the way of life. We all need it. But if you start your business and go, whatever business I'm in, how am I using this to serve this person? How is it going to better their life? What is the main problem that I solve, and how do I do it? Who are they? Because when you know them, you know how to speak to them. You know how to talk to them in a way where they actually feel cared for and not just like a number that you're trying to throw into your business. Service is a magnetic energy. It pulls in, it builds community. And I have this 10 times rule in my business where I give 10 times the free value that I expect in return. So let's say I want to sign a new coaching client. I am going to give 10 times the amount of free coaching just to receive one client. It's 10 times. You give 10 times what you get. And this always leads me to feel amazing in my business. I always feel hyped up. I started doing free Saturday morning trainings for everybody in network marketing called Kingdom Builders. You can join us there. Links are in my highlights on my page at Armed and Anointed. But creating free resources for people to go, what are their needs? How can I serve them? Because at the end of the day, not everybody's going to be able to afford your offer. Not everybody will. But if you are there regardless, serving them for the people, when they are able to, who are they going to come to? The person who's enforced shoving their business down their throat, or the person who served them when they were in need and couldn't even afford their service? You need to be the person who keeps the door open from the ground up, regardless of if they ever come into your business. Because we want to build these brands, these cult like communities, and we're doing it with force. We're like literally gun to the heading people, like, oh, you're going to support a celebrity, but you wouldn't support me, your friend. Cute. Why don't you just throw a rock at the back of their head and drag them through the doors of your business? Like, that's not a welcome. Does your offer even speak to their needs, or are you speaking to your own? Are you speaking to your audience, or are you just speaking about your offer? Because if you are, I would bet not a lot of people are running towards it. If you have the intention to serve through your business, people will feel gravitated towards it. They will feel pulled towards you because they go, this person, they've got an energy about them. You can feel their heart posture. You can feel the love they give to people. Everybody's going to socials these days and they're just like, it's one freaking infomercial after another. Buy this, click here, join this, comment this, blah, 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 blah. What if the call to action was an invitation to connect? I do this all the time with my coaching clients where I have this content sequence that's called the conscious content sequence. And at the end, it says call to action. And I say, but this is not just a call to action. This is an invitation for a connection. This is an invitation to build your community and to hold some of their pain. Like just like so simple, like drop a heart if you have been in this situation. I'm going to send a prayer for you over today. I'm going to hold some space for you today, like an opportunity to give you a piece of their pain, to have them feel seen and supported with nothing expected in return. And this is a rarity on social media right now. It is so rare that they can go there and somebody doesn't want something from them. Like we open the app and it's like, take, 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 take. Like people are just taking for themselves. And it's like, you really think that you're not going to grow quickly when you're out there doing the opposite, when you're serving people's needs, when you're genuinely connecting with them? People want to be around that energy. Nobody wants to be around the energy of force. And so, this whole idea of like, yes, use your business as a tool for light, use it for service. Like, this is not diabolical. Honestly, it's freaking biblical. It's like, we got to get rid of the anxiety. We got to get rid of the push. We got to get rid of the selfishness. We got to spread love. We got to be the light. This is biblical. You can call it whatever you want. You could say the universe wants you to do this. You could literally call it whatever you want, but it is biblical. Lead with love of others. Lead to serve. It can't just be me, 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 me. And it so is out there on socials. I get like the questions all the time. How do I grow my brand? How do I get new followers? How do I get sales? How do I hit this goal? How do I? And I want to turn it around for you and say, who are you serving? How do you serve them? What pain does your offer take away in their life? Do you just speak to the solution, or are you actually speaking to the problem in a way that is vulnerable without victim mentality, in a way that's, trying to help their wounds, but not pushing on them to bleed to death before you offer them a band-aid? If you move in service, if you can build in light, if you can create conscious content and dial your messaging in to actually speak to your audience and to serve them, there's not a chance in hell that your business will not grow. And I've experienced this firsthand. And I've worked both ways. I have worked in force. I have been this is my goal and I'm going to be a psycho for it. And yes, it can pull people in. People love supporting other people because you know what they're doing? They're serving you. They're serving you. When you're a psycho for your goals, you're like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, yeah, frick yeah. Like, look at this girl go after what she wants. And they want to serve you, they want to be a part of it. Think about what could happen if you were like that for your audience, if they felt that energy from you all the time. We're so focused on what we can get that we forget what we're here to offer the world. We all have a purpose. And sometimes we get caught in the victim mentality of like, well, I'm in this pain or I'm in that pain. And it's like, yeah, but your purpose is usually born from your pain. So what are you missing right now? What do you need to work through so that you can use this to serve other people? If you are sitting in the place where you're like, Ash, I am so far into my business and I've done it wrong. And now I feel like a fish out of water. And what do I do? First of all, just take a breath and know that it's never too late to start doing better. Like when we know better, we do better. And I got all the way to the top of my company before I started working in service, all the way to the top. And I I switched my leadership style. I did a culture reset. I was like, what do I want the culture of my business to be? I need to have boundaries as a leader. I need to be a living embodiment of those boundaries. I need to uphold them. We work in service. We look for answers ourselves. I had to create this whole culture reset. And what happened was I lost a lot of people because I'll tell you right now, not everybody wants to put others first. Not everybody wants to be a part of something that they actually have to be in their power. And when you know your intention and when you're rooted in service, you actually won't enable people anymore because you know that enablement is not helping them. It is enabling them to stay in their patterns where they are helpless and they are victims and they can't find the answer themselves. You are enabling them to stay in the same spot. And if you really wanted them to succeed, you would have boundaries for them. You would have expectations. You would teach them discipline instead of just handing them what they want. But I did this whole culture reset and my numbers cut in half and my paycheck cut in half. And I was all of a sudden in the middle of this time where it was like, the external was screaming at me, stop it, stop it. And I was like, no, I can't. I can't because I can feel what this is doing. I can feel the shift that's happening. I can feel the people who are coming in now to this standard, to this culture. This is it. And I'm okay. I'm okay if God wants to shake my business and shake out the people who aren't supposed to be there. And I'm okay if he wants to test me to say, even when the chips are down, do you still choose this way? Even when your paycheck is gone before it hits your bank account, do you still choose to lead with service? Even when you are fighting for your life to center yourself in abundance because you feel so scarce, do you still choose to walk down this path? And there is this period that is what I call the threshold, where you're externally tested to stop what you're doing because what you're doing is right. And you have to prove that you have the strength to keep doing it, that you choose it, even though the external is not reflecting it because it's right. You're choosing it because it's right, not because you're being blessed for it. And my threshold period was about just under 3 months. And then after that, everybody that started to come into my business, I was like, this is what alignment feels like. Holy smokes. And because I had rooted into my intention of how I wanted to lead, how I wanted to serve people through my business, I was freaking deep in it. I found my greatest gratitude in my season of greatest lack. I was like, I'm so freaking thankful. I'm so thankful. And it turns out that, like, when your heart is tethered to service, you're just grateful for it because the wins come in the form of people's lives being changed. It doesn't come in the size of a paycheck and it doesn't come in new followers. It doesn't come like that. It's like, I would see somebody on my team win and I'm like, this is it. This is it. The impact. It's not for me. And this is what we need to get addicted to is the feeling of seeing change in other people's lives, in the feeling of serving somebody to better themselves instead of just like, oh man, that paycheck was big. Oh, this win for myself. Oh, this win. Oh, this win. It's like, no, you need to go through this threshold period. You need to be tested. You need to find gratitude in lack, and you need to prove that you are here to serve others, because every single client that I've coached, that they all go through this and they're like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm feeling better than ever in my leadership. I'm feeling better than ever in myself, but I'm scared to send in my KPI because my numbers are awful. And I'm like, yeah, they should be, because you're going to go into the threshold, you're going to go into the dip, and this is the period where you're going to be tested. Do you go backwards to who you were and to how you led because it's easier and because there's bigger money there? Or do you stay the course? Do you walk through the valley of the shadow of death? And do you fear no evil because you know that you are on a path to service? You are on the path of spreading light in this world through the business that you operate in. And it is not for you, it is for them. What do you choose? I'm happy to say that I have a 100% success rate with my clients choosing the light. That our intention has to be lead with service, because what happens on the other side of this threshold is we start to go into flow and things start to feel organic, because we're like, whoa, I'm not having to chokehold people into my business. That it's just happening. Like, I got a new client here, I got this. And I'm like, yes, what did you do? I served this many people. I put this free value out there. I connected with this person. Heck yes. And they start to feel it. And it always feels crazy on the outside when you haven't felt it yet, because you're like, Ashley, what do you mean I'm supposed to be happy with less money? I need the money. Do you always want to need the money? Do you always want to be trapped in that force, that scarcity, always trying to get it, always in that lack of I need, I need? If you don't want to, make a commitment to yourself right now. I lay down my need in service of others. My new need is I need to figure out what they are struggling with so that I can be a solution for them. That is what your need needs to switch to. I'm going to let you go here because I feel like I could just talk about this literally forever. And I want to remind you that I am doing a 2-day in-person event at the end of November. It is going to be November 20th and 21st in Victoria, BC at the Parkside Hotel and Spa. And it's going to be 2 days of training, of integration exercises, because training without integration is nothing. It is wasted time. And we're going to do embodiment. We're going to teach you how to feel safe in your body. I'm going to teach you how to breathe again. And most of all, just help you build your brand, your business, your socials in service of others. We're going to help you dial in your conscious content so that your page isn't in a coma, so that people aren't just sleepwalking past your content, because you have a purpose, you have a mission, you have to do something here. But you need to tap into that. You need to say, yes, I'm here to serve, and not myself. I'm here to serve them. So if you want to become a leader who leads with light, uses their business to spread light in this world, to serve others, to do the work even when it's hard, I want you to be at this event. It's called Armed and Anointed for Impact. It's Nick Comedina and myself will be here training for 2 days. It will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm really excited. I'm going to do a water walk with all of you guys, because that was so transformational during my threshold, during my time of lack, just finding gratitude and creating vision and service-led missions. And I want to take you guys all on that. So tickets are $297 US or $350 Canadian, and they are in my highlights and in my links on my page at Armed and Anointed. And if this is your calling, if you know that you need to switch the path that you're on, you need to be at this event. Grab your team, grab your staff, grab your partner. Come one, come all. We'll see you next time.